Hey, yo, welcome to Star Wars Real Talk, whatever. Solid intro. So basically, I wanted to wait until I had a few in me before I made this video, mostly for comedic value, but now I'm realizing that this video is probably going to crash and burn, so whatever. I already hit record, so we're doing this. This whole meme about Anakin not liking sand has gotten very fucking old. I'm very sorry. People in 2021 are still making jokes about sand. Oh, Anakin doesn't like sand. Oh no, chosen one's greatest weakness, pocket sand. We are still hearing this joke since episode 2 came out, and he dropped that line about it's coarse and rough and it gets everywhere. We are still hearing this joke today. And you know what? I sympathize with him. All right, I don't empathize with him, but I sympathize with him. Why? Because I didn't grow up on Tatooine. I didn't grow up on a sandy ass planet. All right, he grew up on a planet where the sand was the floor. The man slept on sand. The whole planet was sand. All right, the guy probably got sand in his clothes. He got sand in his tools. He got sand in his toys. He's probably eating sand in his food. Every time Anakin took a deep breath as a boy, he was sucking in sand. All right, the guy probably had a constant case of dry mouth because of the fucking sand that was everywhere. All right, and this was his reality until Qui-Gon Jinn scooped him up. This was Anakin's life. It was sand, and it was hot, and it was dry, and it was shitty. All right, and then he meets Padme, and he falls in love, and it's a whole love thing, and then he finally goes to Padme's planet, which is Naboo, and Naboo is beautiful. There are waterfalls and rainforests, and it is the most glorious, beautiful thing that you have ever seen. And he's there, and he's with the woman he loves. It's a beautiful thing. He wants to get married to this woman, and you know what? He does eventually get married to this woman on this beautiful planet. You know what he loves so much about it? All the life, all the nature, and he's with this woman that he loves, and it is a complete contrast to what he grew up in. It is a complete contrast to the harshness that is his sand planet, all right? The sand coffin that he grew up in on Tatooine, all right? So he goes to Tatooine, he's with this woman, everything's beautiful, everything's perfect, all right? The woman he's with, girl of his dreams, everything's peachy, everything's peachy keens, all right? And then he makes this comment about sand is coarse and rough and it gets everywhere, all right? This is a very this is a comment that I would expect someone to make who grew up in slavery on a fucking sand planet. All right, how great must it have been for him to be at this tropical paradise? Naboo was probably the greatest place that Anakin had ever been in his entire life, and he's with the greatest woman that he's ever known, and everything's great. And you know what? He decides to take an opportunity to say, you know what? My upbringing, my past, everything up to this moment kind of sucked because it was sand. And you know what? The sand got fucking everywhere. And I bet that it did. Because I bet that the sand got into everything. I bet the guy was flossing sand out of his teeth every night before he went to bed. I bet the guy was taking sand baths, sand showers. The sand was getting in his blue milk. The sand, man, the guy probably couldn't build a single thing without having to get one of those those air blowers that gamers use for their keyboards. He's probably blowing one of those things through C3PO every single night while he's working on them. All right, the sand. Needless to say, I've made my point. All right, the sand was everywhere. Okay, so for Anakin in episode 2 to say the sand is everywhere, very very expected thing to say. All right, and you know what? Sand is coarse and it's rough. And you know what else? Anakin's life was coarse and it was rough. There was not much good about it. Very little good about it. Yet he was still a pretty positive guy. All right, he was a pretty good kid. He was pretty positive considering the situation that he was in. All right, so now he's finally in this position where he's comfortable and he's in love and he's gonna vent about it. And he's like, sand is coarse and rough and it gets everywhere. I don't like sand. You know what? I think it's totally justified. And for people to say that George Lucas was a bad writer, and this was bad dialogue, and this was bad cheesy love scene, those people, I was gonna say something vulgar, but instead I'm just gonna say those people can go live on a sand planet for the first 12 years of their lives in slavery, and then they can make a judgment call about whether or not it is appropriate for a teenager, a young adult, to complain about it at one point with the first person that he opens up to and trusts. All right, that's all I'm gonna say. You're gonna make a joke about sand. Sand. Anakin doesn't like sand. Shut the fuck up. I've had enough of this. And this video is reaching 6 minutes, so I'm going to hit stop recording because I don't think I have anything else to reinforce my point other than the fact that I think that Anakin was totally justified in his complaints about sand. I don't think they're ridiculous. I think that it is good dialogue. I think that it shows Anakin in a state of vulnerability, and he's opening himself up about his past to somebody that he loves and trusts. And I think that it is good dialogue and it is justified. Star Wars Real Talk out. May the Force be with you. I don't know. Maybe.